right, I was talking about before we get started into this. To anyone who doesn't know, I do a lot of apologetics in general. I engage in Protestant apologetics, dealing with claims of Rome in the East, both positive and defensive. I deal with skeptics. I deal indirectly with Muslims, like we're dealing with tonight. I'm addressing Unitarians, but Muslims use a lot of Unitarian arguments. So very indirectly, I'm also addressing them tonight. And as we're just working through the Bible, I'm going to be addressing a whole bunch. Someone who was in our world, cleaved to antiquity, recently converted, and screen sharing was canceled. And it made a bit of a stir for some people. There we go. So anyone who doesn't know, this is his Twitter. And this is just something I wanted to show. This is from August 28th. So not too long ago. This was a live thing. He was doing stuff like this with other Protestants. And this is something quite a few people have pointed out validly and had some pushbacks on. So to address that quickly, because that's the world I've been in. I did a video with him a while ago, and these past few months, right? Supposedly since July, he's been looking at Eastern Orthodoxy. That's when he stopped making videos on it, stuff like that. But he's been doing work with Protestants that entire time. Very recently, he's even been making like video statements of like, lifting up Protestantism very highly, kind of not quite dissing, though he was dissing Rome. But being like, yeah, this is a defeater for orthodoxy, stuff like that. Like he uploaded a defeater of orthodoxy video in this time period between July and now. So that's something people have pointed out, and people are upset about, rightfully so, because the entire time he was putting himself out as someone who's a staunch Protestant that was at a non-denominational church and engaging in that apologetic sphere, and people were paying money and giving money because he was doing that work. So it has caused a lot of issues for people. And it wasn't just, that video with Anglicans. He did videos with Javier Perdomo. He did videos with Cannon and Creed, right, who had a video that came out like the same week, this past week, where he announced his conversion to Eastern Orthodoxy. And Cannon and Creed, if you don't know that, that's Miles Christian. He's the guy who runs that. He also runs Answering Adventism. His video, I think, sums up my thoughts perfectly, and the thoughts of many others on the whole situation. Now, and I think it's as simple as Ben made a mistake here. A big and lengthy one, but a mistake. Lord willing, he'll learn from this, and all of us will. We've all learned a bit from this experience. I do think Ben should apologize for the way he handled it. If he hasn't, I'm not super active on Twitter. He is. Maybe he's already put something out. And how he's handled some of the people who have reacted to his conversation pointing this out, or his conversion pointing this out. But at the end of the day, he's pursuing what he feels God is leading him. And though he engaged in Protestant apologetics, he wasn't a historic Reformed Protestant. He was part of the more low church evangelical world. So this shouldn't shake someone who's looking at Reformation movements, in my opinion. And to be clear, I know many great and faithful Christians who I look forward to seeing at the Great Wedding Feast in that low church evangelical world. They're not classical Protestants. And Ben himself even said on Twitter just a few Sundays ago how excited he was about how many people were at his non-denominational church that he resigned from as part of his conversion. It's just not technically Protestant, especially for the places that just reject sola scriptura in favor of solo scriptura, which a fair amount of places just do that. So that does remove them from the Protestant umbrella. They're not following Reformation thought. My only hope is that, Lord willing, he won't lose the gospel in the Eo Phronima, and he won't come to speak against those who he once celebrated being in his church. But time will tell on that front. I think there are plenty of signs on his social media and his replies to people to show the direction he's currently heading. He definitely seems, at least at the gate, to be moving a little bit more hostile, at least towards some of the apologists and others who have critiqued him. That might just be a initial reaction thing, though. Time will tell on that front. And if you watch his interview, which was funnily with Peter Heers, who is a schismatic Eastern Orthodox priest, he's not under a bishop, as far as I know. Someone can correct me, but last I knew, he was a schismatic from the Eastern Orthodox Church and was refusing to submit to any bishops, and hasn't changed that in however long that's been. So it was very strange that he was popping onto his stream to do this interview and announce this. And he kind of went to a few of the weird surface level arguments, like there are 30,000 Protestant denominations, which isn't true, and saying stuff like the EO have the same teaching and that they're not in schism. Oh, I got something on my leg here. All of which are just objectively false statements. I have several playlists on my channel showing this. I have a playlist, What is the Church, that kind of walks through some of these points. I have a playlist just called Protestant Apologetics. Check out both those things. Listen to my arguments there. Let me know.